Yes, I think it's so important to participate because there are people who died for us to have this right, and I will get very obsessed with my students because they do not understand. We talk about the 19th Amendment with women getting the right to vote. They did not have this. It was not, and I get so angry if they say women were given the right to vote or granted the right to vote. Oh, I count it wrong, it's so wrong. Because they were not granted the right to vote, they earned the right to vote. And I think that women today use, or everybody uses excuses today of, I have to drive a carpool, or it's raining, or the line's so long, I don't really want to vote. And it just drives me crazy because these people were imprisoned and arrested and were tortured and things happened to them. I mean, I kind of elaborate a little bit because I want to make them really understand. But I mean, it took a long time for them to get the right to vote, and not even just with voting, but with everything else, like with the Bill of Rights and AP. I think it's so important to stress what I have the First Amendment on my wall over there, because if you don't know what your rights are, they're going to be taken away from you. And it's so cool that we live in a country where we have the ability to speak up and to participate in government.
Yeah, a lot of times, soon you'll be able to vote, soon you'll be able to become a participant in local government. And once you get involved with that, you can realize the stages that you need to observe government act from your community through the state, through the nation. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I try to bring that up as much as possible. I'd bring in a lot of news weeks and we'd look at it and just to see on the national level what's going on, and then we could try to stage it back down, like, well, what can we do here in Concord?
We always try and support, especially the activities within Concord High School, whether it's just through giving announcements or classroom reminders type of deal. But we did talk a little more again at the beginning of the year when we were talking about Constitution, Bill of Rights, and helping people. And now that we're getting into the reform movements, we're going to hit upon it again. Just how can you try and make America and the world a better place?
Well, obviously, this would be a good example. And yes, we do. This week we've been talking about why it's so important to vote. I've tried to explain to them, if you didn't know anything and you were completely ignorant, I would be a little fearful of you voting. I don't want you to pick somebody because they look attractive and that you don't know the issues. So we've talked about why it's important in a democracy that we be active citizens, why we need to be informed, why we need to read the paper, why we need to watch the news, why we need to know what's going on in the world around us, because it affects us. And the students they tried to know what's going on. I can't say they do a very good job with it always, because they're not very active at reading the paper as much as I would like.
Absolutely. Number one thing I say is when you get eligible, when you turn 18, you have to register your vote. We talked about when you get your license, you automatically get registered to vote. And so I just really encourage them to be active. I try to give them examples of things in the community that I know they might disagree with. And then they say, some of them may get active, some may get an attitude, oh, they didn't do that. And I say, well, you'll have a chance in a couple of years to speak out on that. So I try to give them examples, like for instance, the jail issue in Concord, building a jail downtown. They seem to kind of take heart to issues like that and want to get involved. So I try to give them issues like that where they might have a stake in things to kind of spur them on to learning about what's going on in current events and getting involved.
I actually require community service. I'm also the leader of the Interact Club, one of the advisors, and work with the students to bring our community closer together. Right. And we work within the community of Concord High School and in the community of Concord. And actually, we shared our citizenship and our values with a preschool in South Africa to illustrate how you can come together to make a difference. Okay. So actively taking the social sciences and the study of the social sciences and trying to make an impact within the community, I think let students investigate and practice the social sciences and come to understand that each person can make a contribution.